All over the country, police chiefs sending out warnings for officers to exercise extreme caution. Now in New York, that means not going alone anywhere if you wear a badge. Police Commissioner Bill Bratton ordered all NYPD officers to walk together in pairs. And one of those pairs, or perhaps a few of them, will be tasked with finding out who wrote this graffiti painted under the Manhattan Bridge reading NYPD kills. The forensics teams have already investigated the scene, and police say they were in fact able to lift fingerprints from the structure, and now they say they're building their file to make an arrest very soon.
As the economy slowly starts to stabilize in Greece, the European Union wonders how long until another crisis will occur. Political instability teeters on the same unstable platform as the debt in Greece. Greek Prime Minister Antonis Samaras has high hopes for his favored presidential candidate, Stavros Dimas, after an increase in total votes. Samaras says he is hoping for a majority vote in the next week for Dimas. Otherwise, the parliament will hold snap elections. If this happens, power could be given to the left-wing Syriza party. Samaras says he wants lawmakers to take responsibility for the consequences their vote will have on stability and the country's future. An outright protest by China over an unprecedented hearing held by the United Nations Security Council. The meeting discussed the human rights situation in North Korea, causing many countries to encourage involvement of the International Criminal Court. China and Russia were completely against the move. China said the forum was not meant to get involved in human rights issues and said they would oppose any future document to come from the body. During a meeting, as South Korean UN ambassador said, "We cannot listen to stories of North Korean defectors without sharing in their tears." He went on to say that reading the Commission's inquiry breaks his heart. Due to China's veto power, an ICC referral for North Korea is unlikely. The meeting was still considered a success and a symbolic record of the world's view into North Korean human rights violations. Violence in the Yemeni capital, Sana'a, this week after 5 bombs exploded in the streets. One person was killed after the bombs were detonated. The surrounding area where the bombs went off is home to many Shiite Muslim Houthi supporters. One bomb was placed near the home of Sana'a University professor Ismail al-Wazir, who has ties to the Houthi group. Just last year, Wazir escaped an assassination attempt which left 2 of his security guards dead. Several cars and homes were destroyed due to the blast. Responsibility for the attack has yet to be claimed, but violence between al-Qaeda and the Houthis has raised suspicion. Clashes between the 2 groups has continued since the fight over Sana'a began last September. Hopeful Arab OPEC producers have made new predictions for 2015. The group says that they expect oil prices to rebound by the end of next year, anywhere from $70 to $80 a barrel. The delegates say this could happen without any production cuts by OPEC. Production cuts have been a constant debated topic, but ruled out multiple times. This comes from a heightened demand for oil, which could give oil prices an equal plateau. An OPEC source said, "We don't see $100 for next year unless there is a sudden supply disruption, but an average of $70 to $80 for next year, yes." This is the first time big oil producers have offered their view on the future of oil prices.
In New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio asking protesters to put off their demonstrations for the time being. The city is preparing to bury 2 police officers killed in an ambush back on Saturday.
Put aside protests, put aside demonstrations. Until these funerals are past, let's focus just on these families and what they have lost.
However, the demonstrations and the leaders there, they say they're going to go on anyway. They're defying the mayor's request. And he's becoming a very unpopular figure in that city, Mayor de Blasio, as the protesters and the police alike are both growing frustrated with the mayor. The police union blames de Blasio in some capacity. They say he has blood on his hands for enabling protests in the past. NYPD leaders feel the mayor was too sympathetic to anti-police protesters, and they say he may have played some role, or at least he could have played a role to stop some of the violence and failed to do so. Now, when de Blasio went to the hospital to pay his respects to the fallen officers on Saturday, a group of police officers actually literally turned their backs on him as part of their protest. And while these distractions and protests rage on, The families of the murdered police officers are left to deal with some very painful emotions.
This is a difficult time for both of our families. But we will stand together and get through this together.
That was Pei Jia Chen, the now widow. Her husband, Wen Jianlu, executed just 2 months after their wedding. His partner, Rafael Ramos, also murdered, leaves behind a wife and 2 sons. In Milwaukee, a sad story. District Attorney John Chisholm releases his official decision how to proceed against a white police officer who shot a mentally ill black man to death back in the spring.
My decision today that criminal charges will not be issued against Officer Manny.
Now, the DA says the investigation shows the former officer, Christopher Manny, acted in self-defense when he repeatedly shot Dontre Hamilton during a confrontation in a park near a bench. He shot him 14 times, but Chisholm admits things might have been different had there actually been a video evidence from the altercation.
What's significant to know is that there was no video surveillance footage that was recovered of this incident.
But Wisconsin Civil Liberties Director Chris Moody disagrees with the DA's decision. Manny was fired by the Milwaukee police chief for allegedly failing to follow police department procedure and protocol. Now, the Department of Justice, the feds, they're launching their own civil rights investigation into the killing and into the Milwaukee Police Department itself. Now, as you can imagine, the DA's decision not to press charges didn't sit well with the family of the victim.
We cried too long. As a people, we're done crying when injustice comes. We're not gonna cover up injustice with our tears. We're not gonna be, laid back and stay sheltered from justice. We deserve justice. Justice is our right.
That was Nate Hamilton. Again, it was his brother, Dontre, who was the mentally ill black man, shot multiple times by a white Milwaukee police officer. You could see the emotion in his voice and the family behind him. And that officer, the one who shot his brother, was fired for breaking protocol, but will not face any criminal charges.